and welcome to Beverley Puppet Festival. My name is Shane from Sokobauno Puppet Theatre and the Little Fawn Caravan. But I'm here today to show you how to make some moving mouth monster puppets using just simple paper plates and paper bowls and a few other bits and bobs. You shall need 2 paper bowls. Try not to use the plastic ones. These are actually recyclable, compostable paper bowls. And a paper plate, some masking tape, a marker pen and a brush, some newspaper, some coloured card, coloured tissue paper, coloured cotton balls, or if you can't find any, then you can actually use some of the newspaper, some cord here, this fake fur fabric, some PVA glue, or Yoo-hoo is also a really good glue to use. Even better, I would get a glue gun. Okay, let's get started. Now the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to take your paper plate, turn it upside down, take one of your bowls and place it on top of your paper plate, also upside down like this, and then you're going to draw around the bowl. And then you're going to cut out that shape. There we are. So once you've cut out this section, you're going to take one of your bowls and cut the bowl in half. It doesn't have to be exactly in half, but roughly in half. And if you just find the centre, around about there, say, and draw a line like that. Cut along there. Okay, so there's one half of this bowl that you no longer need, so you can get rid of that. The half that you have left, you're going to turn it upside down and put it on top of the paper plate. And now you're going to stick those two together. Take your masking tape, and you're probably just going to have white masking tape, which is completely fine, but I'm just going to use blue so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit easier. And you're just going to put half of it onto the paper bowl and then fold it over onto the underside of the plate like that. And this is one that I did earlier on a yellow plate. So once you have stuck this all the way down like that, I want you to take the other bowl that you've got, your second bowl, and you're going to stick the second bowl onto this edge of the plate, okay, onto the other edge of the plate. So the best way to do that is just to take your bowl and turn it upside down and put it over the first bowl and just continue around that line there with your tape. I've also put a little hole just in there, and that's for your finger to go through, and that will allow you to open and close the mouth, you see. Thought we should make some lips to make this area a little bit more pronounced around here, give it a little bit more definition around the front of the mouth. So to do that we need some newspaper. This is the kind of fun bit. Just take some newspaper and roughly, I don't know, say about kind of that much to begin with. You can always add as you go on. Now you're just going to take some paper and just scrump scrumple it up like that, scrunch it up into a little shape, and then with your tape, I'll just use the white tape for now, tape that together. And attach that around the front. And then you're just going to do exactly the same for the toplet. Maybe I'll make my toplet a little bit bigger. Yeah, so when you hold them up, you can see he's starting to take some shape around that area. Now, if you think maybe you want to even it up, or you want to make them bigger or a little bit more around here, it looks like you could do with a little bit more around there, then you just add a bit on. Okay, so once you've done your lips, we want to make this crown that sits on top of the head, and we just do it exactly the same way. Here is one that I made earlier. Yeah, there he is. Now this one has kind of smaller lips, and this bit on top is the bit that we're going to attach the eyes to and attach some hair or some eyebrows or something on there, like that, okay? There's one more thing you need to do just before we move on to the next bit, which is really just to cover your entire puppet in masking tape. And when you come to the edges, like round here, the underside, round here, you don't stop short there, take it right round the back, like that, stick it on there, all the way around, and overlap the masking tape, crisscross it, don't go in the same direction, and use tiny little bits. But I've also, as you can see, given him some little horns. Okay, they were made just exactly the same way that we made the lips, or this little crown section here. Just a piece of newspaper wrapped up in masking tape, and I made two little holes in the inside and pushed the horns through from behind. Yeah. Okay, so colouring your puppet is, well, there's a couple of different ways of doing that. You can either use coloured tissue paper, which I have here, which you can normally find in kind of larger supermarkets in their craft section. But if you can't get access to any of this stuff, then you could also just use some acrylic paints and just paint them. Or if you don't have paint, you can just use pens, felt tip pens, or crayons, or whatever you have to hand. So I'm going to use some PVA glue. It's always good to put some newspaper down when you're working with this. You want to get all your surfaces covered in glue. I'm just going to put a little bit on there. Okay, and then just choose randomly some colour. So I've got a little bit of purple, put that one there, maybe some green, go on there, and maybe a little bit of blue. Okay, and with your brush, you're just going to put it back in the glue and just push down on there like that. Now try not to use too much glue. You can dry it on the newspaper, you dry your brush on the newspaper, and just as you're going, just add in some extra sections, and they can all overlap, and this will also help keep it really strong once it dries. As you can see, I've finished covering my monster. I've used the blue and the purple and the green tissue paper. He has some green lips, some green horns. Now this is a hot glue gun, you can get some cold ones as well. But if you don't have a glue gun, don't worry. You can also use just some Yoo-hoo. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make up a mouth insert. It's going to go in here. and it's going to cover up all these rough and untidy little edges here. And to do that, I'm going to use a piece of felt. Now this was a square of felt, and I just took one of my bowls and placed it on top, drew around it and cut out the shape, and that gave me obviously the same shape that we need for our puppet. Now if you don't have any felt, that's alright, because you can use a paper plate. If you don't have any coloured paper plates, you can also just use a piece of white card or another white paper plate and colour it in, or paint it, let it dry, and there you have a nice colourful insert for your mouth. Okay, so I'm going to use my glue gun to put my mouth insert onto my puppet, and it really just needs a tiny little bit just round the edges like that, and I'll do one half at a time. Great, well that seems to work. Okay. The next thing I want to do is put on some eyes, and I have these cotton buds here, and they come in lots of different colours as well. Again, if you don't have these and you just have some plain white ones, they're just as good. If you don't have those, then you can just use some coloured card or some white card, draw some eyes, cut them out and stick them onto this little crown here that we created earlier. So, to finish the eyes, I just drew a couple of little circles onto my card. You can use a coloured card or the white of the card. And once that's dry, I'll just draw on some pupils with my pen. So that's him with his eyes done. The next thing I'm going to do is put some of this fake fur. And that's starting to look a little bit fuller, a little bit more finished. You feel a little bit more finished, Mr. Monster? Yeah. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, now that that's all dry, is I thought I would just cover a little bit over the nose there. So I found a different piece of fur fabric, and I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue above the nose and just stick this on, because that will hide the finger when it's sticking out. The kind of almost the last thing, you don't have to do this, there's a couple of little things you can do. You can give them tongues, so you can cut out another piece of fabric or another piece of card or felt and put a little tongue in there. But the other thing you can do, and it's quite nice, it does give them a nice finish, is you can get some string or some rope, and you should always start in the middle with this stuff. Attach the rope all the way around the outside edge of the mouth, and it just gives it a really nice finish. That's good enough, it's tidy enough. The other thing I was going to show you was I would quite like to give him a fang. Sometimes they look good with a fang. So this is how I would make one. So this is part of the bowl that you discarded earlier. This is little half that was left over. I'm just going to cut a little triangle shape on this. So because it's got that little lip on it, the bowl has that little lip, it's perfect to just slide under your mouthpiece there. Okay, so I stuck the little fang just in there into his mouth, underneath the little bit of string or rope that you're going to use around the edge, and there it is. I'm going to get you to make a very simple costume now using an old t-shirt. So here is one very old and grubby t-shirt, and all you do with it is just stick your hand up the inside and push it through one of the sleeves like that, and just pinch your thumb into part of the sleeve so you have it like this. That's how you're going to open and close your mouth. And put your head on top like this. Okay, and then put your hand in the other sleeve, and there you have it. He has a hand and a moving mouth. Yeah. Hey. Gee, I really do have a hand. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. You're welcome. So to learn how to move your puppet and get him to talk, we have to do that in syllables. In what? Syllables. Syllables? Yeah. So every sound, every word has different sounds. Yeah? I guess so. So if we count to 7. 7? Yeah. Ready? Uh-huh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go, you see? Uh-huh. 7 has 2 sounds. It does. 7. 11. Yeah, that kind of thing. Syllable. Yeah. How many sounds does syllable have? Syllable. 3. Yeah. Good. Okay. Come up with a little idea for your monster. Yeah. So, have you decided which monster you're connected to? Or which part of the nature that you might be connected to? Me? Yeah. Why, I'm a moon monster. You're a what? A moon monster. A moon monster? Sure. This fang, it came from the moon. I think they already know where that fang came from. Oh yeah. Bye. Have fun. Can we turn this thing off now? Sure. Maybe we could go for a walk. Well, I think I'll go for a walk.